There is something many men spend years trying to understand, but rarely get taught directly. It is not written in dating manuals, not openly discussed at dinner tables, and almost never explained in a way that truly clicks. Yet it plays out every single day in cafes, offices, restaurants, and chance encounters. A woman will almost never walk straight up to you and boldly announce her attraction. You are unlikely to hear, "I choose you, come here." That dramatic, movie-style confession is not how real human interaction usually works. Attraction in the real world is quieter, subtle, wrapped in gestures, energy, and body language. And this is precisely where so many men misread the moment. Women communicate interest constantly, but often without saying a single word. Instead of declarations, there are signals. Instead of direct statements, there are movements, small, almost invisible shifts that reveal far more than rehearsed lines ever could. One of the most overlooked channels of this silent communication is the hands. Not the eyes, not the smile, the hands. Hands are fascinating because they are brutally honest. A face can be carefully controlled. A voice can be polished. Words can be chosen with precision. But hands? Hands often move straight from instinct. They reveal comfort, tension, curiosity, attraction, and emotion long before the conscious mind steps in. What many people never realize is that there is an entire unspoken vocabulary happening during interactions, and the hands are at the center of it. Imagine this. You are talking with a woman. The conversation feels pleasant, maybe even engaging. But while you are focusing on the words, something deeper may already be unfolding. Her body may have started speaking minutes ago. Research in human behavior has repeatedly shown that attraction is rarely communicated through obvious statements. Instead, it leaks through micro-behaviors, subtle gestures, fleeting touches, tiny movements charged with meaning. And here is the uncomfortable truth. People often miss them. By the time someone consciously wonders, "Is she interested?" the answer may have been visible for quite a while. Now let us explore some of these signals, not as rigid rules, but as patterns of human behavior. One of the most recognizable gestures involves the hair. When a woman feels drawn to someone, her hands may drift toward her hair almost automatically. But there is a difference between casual adjustment and something more telling. A quick fix is mechanical, brief, functional. But when the movement slows, when fingers linger, when the hand trails gently downward toward the neck or collarbone, the energy changes. Why? Because the neck is one of the most vulnerable areas of the body. From a deeply instinctive perspective, exposing it signals comfort and ease. It reflects relaxation rather than guardedness. It is not simply grooming. It often carries an undercurrent of awareness and presence. The key is not the touch itself, but the quality of the movement. Slow, fluid gestures tend to signal a different emotional state than abrupt or distracted ones. Then there is what might seem like an entirely unrelated behavior, the gentle tracing of objects. A woman idly running her fingers along the rim of a glass, the edge of a cup, or the corner of a menu may appear absent-minded. Many observers dismiss it as boredom or habit. Yet psychology offers another interpretation. Human beings frequently redirect internal energy into physical motion. When someone feels heightened awareness or tension, even positive tension, the body often seeks expression. That expression may not always be directed at a person directly, especially in early interactions. Touching nearby objects can become an unconscious outlet for that energy. It is not about the cup, it is about the state of mind. Of course, context matters. People fidget for many reasons, but when combined with other warm, engaged behaviors, such gestures can take on additional meaning. Next comes something far more direct, physical contact. Light touches during conversation are rarely meaningless. Human beings are deeply aware of personal space, even when they do not consciously think about it. Crossing that invisible boundary usually requires a degree of comfort. When a woman reaches out to touch a forearm while laughing, taps a shoulder for emphasis, or briefly rests her hand during a shared moment, she is not merely moving randomly through space. She is acknowledging connection. Touch carries psychological weight. Studies on interpersonal perception have demonstrated that appropriate, light contact can intensify feelings of closeness and warmth between individuals. It creates a subtle sense of shared presence, a momentary bridge between two people. Yet reactions are crucial. Confidence is often communicated not through dramatic gestures, but through calmness. Remaining relaxed, present, and natural in such moments can shape the entire emotional tone of the interaction. Then there is an even quieter cue, the openness of the palms. Open palms have long been associated with trust and non-threatening intent. Across cultures and throughout history, showing empty hands has symbolized safety. When someone gestures with visible, relaxed palms, it often reflects ease and psychological comfort. Closed or hidden hands, by contrast, can sometimes signal reservation or self-protection. Again, these are tendencies, not guarantees, but patterns of openness frequently accompany positive engagement. And perhaps one of the most charged moments of all involves hand-to-hand contact. Hands are extraordinarily sensitive. Packed with nerve endings, they make touch particularly vivid. A brief brush of fingers can create a surprisingly strong sense of awareness between two people. But this is where anxiety frequently sabotages opportunity. Pulling away too quickly, reacting with visible tension, or breaking contact abruptly can unintentionally communicate discomfort. Allowing the moment to breathe, remaining steady, warm, and composed, often conveys something entirely different. Human interaction is shaped as much by timing and energy as by words. Another subtle but interesting behavior involves the wrists. The inner wrist is delicate and exposed. When someone consistently positions it openly, resting naturally, turning it outward, leaving it visible, it may reflect relaxation rather than defensiveness. Body language researchers often associate such openness with comfort and a lowered guard. Yet perhaps the most important idea is not any single gesture, but the concept of responsiveness. Signals are not infinite. Human beings constantly test social waters. They express, observe reactions, adjust, and recalibrate. When interest or warmth is met with indifference or hesitation, behavior often shifts. Energy contracts, posture changes, attention drifts. This is not manipulation, it is human psychology. People move toward reciprocity, toward responsiveness, toward those who engage back. Moments of connection frequently have a natural lifespan, not a dramatic countdown, but a subtle window during which mutual comfort either deepens or fades. Many missed opportunities are not the result of rejection, but of uncertainty stretched too long. Confidence, contrary to popular belief, is rarely loud or aggressive. It is often quiet assurance, presence, the ability to respond naturally rather than freeze in self-doubt. Because attraction, at its heart, is not a puzzle to be solved, but an interaction to be experienced. If you reflect on past encounters, you may recall moments that felt charged with possibility, conversations that carried a certain spark, interactions that seemed filled with unspoken potential. Often, hindsight reveals cues that were invisible at the time. Awareness transforms perception. Once you begin noticing body language, engagement patterns, and subtle shifts in behavior, social interactions become richer, clearer, more layered. But awareness alone is not enough. Action, respectful, natural, emotionally intelligent action, is what ultimately shapes outcomes. Warmth returned, Interest acknowledged. Connection allowed to grow rather than dissolve into hesitation. Because human chemistry does not thrive in overanalysis, it lives in presence. And perhaps the real lesson is not about decoding women or memorizing gestures. It is about becoming more observant, more attuned, more responsive to the emotional atmosphere of an interaction, more human, more present, more willing to meet the moment as it unfolds. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation that feels different, where the energy is lighter, the connection warmer, the interaction subtly electric, pause for a second. Look beyond the words. Notice the rhythm, the comfort, the gestures, the space between movements. You may discover that communication has been happening all along, in a language older and quieter than speech itself.